Welcome to the Anxiety Enigma.
Your relationship isn't dying. Your sleep is killing it.
You know, when we first started cracking open this investigation, the thing that struck me immediately was how universal this one specific agonizing scene is.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone knows it.
Right. It's a Tuesday night, or maybe it's a Sunday morning in the kitchen, and you say something cruel.
Something you can't take back.
Yeah. It just slips out before you can even try to stop it. It cuts right through the air. And the most terrifying part of that whole moment isn't even the argument itself.
No, it's the realization right after.
Exactly. It's the sudden, sickening realization that you didn't say it because you actually meant it. You didn't say it because it was true. You said it because you had absolutely nothing left in the tank.
Like completely empty.
Just zero patience remaining in your entire system.
Yeah.
No softness. No ability to hear one more word. You know, just one more minor question about the grocery list. Or even just hearing your partner sigh across the room.
Because even a sigh feels like too much weight.
It does. It feels like if you have to process one more tiny piece of input from them, you are going to physically break.
And then, of course, comes the aftermath of that snap. You know, the silence.
The awful silence.
Lying there in the dark. You're inches away from the person you committed your entire life to.
Mhm.
You can hear the rhythmic, steady sound of their breathing.
Yeah.
And never in your entire life have you felt more isolated or alone.
Tonight, we are unpacking exactly what is happening in those silent, agonizing hours. Because what we found in our investigation, it changes literally everything you thought you knew about why relationships supposedly fall apart.
It completely rewrites the script.
It really does. We are going to look at the actual physical mechanics of what's happening inside your head, how your mind physically alters itself overnight, and how we decoded the way the dark is actively, literally stealing the person you actually want to be.
Oh, and by the way, before we get too deep into this, we built something.
Right.
A quiz called Whispers After Dark. It tells you exactly which nighttime pattern is running in your brain. Links in the description. Keep it in mind as you listen because, well, everything we're about to say is going to hit so much differently once you know your specific type.
Definitely check that out. Because when you are lying in that heavy, 3 a.m. silence, the natural human instinct is to just start questioning the foundation of your entire life.
You're staring at the ceiling, the house is settling, and those thoughts just start creeping in.
Yeah, you replay the tension from the day. You replay that stupid fight you just had in the kitchen. And you start to deeply believe that the relationship is the real problem.
You think it's broken.
Right. It's that really insidious whisper that says, we're growing apart.
The love is fading.
We don't laugh like we used to when we first met. You start doing this dark mental arithmetic, looking back at your shared history, and you genuinely wonder if you chose wrong.
Which is such a terrifying place to be.
It's suffocating. You convince yourself that maybe you are just fundamentally incompatible now, that people change, and you've just changed in opposite directions. It feels so real.
It feels undeniable in the dark.
But everything we uncovered in this investigation completely dismantles that assumption, tears it down to the studs.
When we looked at the hidden underlying patterns, when we really mapped out what is happening beneath the surface, we found that in millions of these cases, it was never about the relationship.
Wow.
Never. The love didn't just naturally fade away. You didn't suddenly become incompatible over the course of 6 months.
So what is it?
Something hidden is happening. Between midnight and morning, there is an active theft occurring in your brain.
A theft.
Yes. Something is physically stealing your capacity to love the person sleeping right next to you.
I really want to pause and emphasize that because based on what we found, this is not a metaphor. We are not speaking poetically here.
No, not at all.
It is a literal nightly robbery of your internal resources.
Every single night, your brain boots up a program. While you are lying there, just trying to get some rest, this malicious loop starts running.
Like a virus.
Exactly like a virus. It replays every interaction from your day, it edits your memories, it scans your life for threats, it steals hours of deep restorative rest from you.
And the result of that.
The result is that every single morning, you wake up hollow.
Let's talk about that word for a second. Because in all the behavioral mapping we did, they don't just say tired. Hollow is the exact word.
Because tired just means you need a nap.
Right. Tired means your muscles ache. You worked hard in the yard.
But hollow means you have been emptied out. Like a core piece of your emotional regulation was literally scooped out of your chest in the dark.
Yeah. You take that hollowed out version of yourself, you walk into the kitchen, you hand that massive emptiness to the person you love, And when they inevitably react poorly to it, you blame the relationship.
Which brings us to the first major mechanism we really need to crack open today.
Okay, lay it out.
It's the illusion of willpower, the concept of the empty battery.
This blew my mind when we found it.
For decades, everyone just operated on the assumption that things like patience, kindness, and self-control were fixed personality traits.
Like you were either a patient person or you were just a hot-headed person.
Right. But what we've discovered proves that is a complete illusion. Self-control, patience, the ability to just bite your tongue when you're annoyed. These are not infinite character traits.
No.
They are finite resources.
Ah.
They are drawn from a single, highly limited internal pool.
I love the battery metaphor for this.
It's the best way to visualize it. Think of the part of your brain that handles complex decision-making and social rules as a battery.
Okay.
Every single time you hold back a sharp remark during a meeting,
Drain.
every time you navigate a frustrating email from your boss,
Drain.
every time you force yourself to just be polite to a rude driver in traffic,
Right.
you are spending that energy. You're draining that exact same battery.
So, just to be super clear here, me holding my temper with a really difficult client at 2 in the afternoon, that draws from the exact same biological pool of energy as me trying to be patient with my partner at 8 at night when they forget to run the dishwasher.
Is the exact same resource.
That's
There is
cool.
no separate work patience tank and marriage patience tank.
Man, that is a wild realization.
And your brain requires the specific architecture of deep rest to replenish that pool. So here's the dark theft we uncovered. When the night steals your rest through that looping mental program, it drains this pool entirely.
The battery never recharges.
Never. The restoration process never actually happens. So you wake up already in a massive deficit.
Before you even open your eyes.
Your feet haven't even touched the floor, you haven't spoken a single word to anyone, and your emotional brakes are completely worn down to the metal.
Okay, but I need to push back on that just a little. Let me play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Because if I am just exhausted, right, if my battery is simply empty from a terrible night's sleep, why does that hollowness specifically target my partner?
That's the real mystery.
Right, like if I'm universally drained, why does it feel so intensely like a relationship crisis? Why does it feel like I've fallen out of love with them instead of just feeling like I need 3 strong cups of coffee?
That is exactly what makes the hidden data so fascinating. It isn't just a general sluggishness. The exhaustion fundamentally changes the architecture of how you process social information.
It changes the actual machinery.
Exactly. You have this part of your brain that acts as your rational referee.
The referee, meaning the part that enforces the rules, that steps in and says, hey, wait a minute, let's look at the context here.
Yes. Usually when your partner sighs heavily, or maybe they leave their shoes right in the middle of the hallway, this referee steps in.
It blows the whistle.
It evaluates the situation and whispers to you, they didn't mean it that way. They had a brutal day at work. Just let it go.
It provides the benefit of the doubt.
Precisely.
Mhm.
But when we looked at what happens in sleep-deprived individuals, we saw something genuinely alarming. That rational referee is essentially dismissed from the game.
Wow.
The connection between the rational part of your brain and the emotional centers is severely degraded.
So the bridge is out.
The bridge is totally washed away. The rational part of your brain can no longer send signals to calm down the emotional part.
And without that rational referee, what are you left with?
You are left with only one remaining system to process your partner's actions: your raw, unfiltered emotional smoke alarm.
And as we know, a smoke alarm doesn't possess the capacity for nuance.
No, it doesn't analyze whether it's burnt toast or a blazing inferno.
It just screams that the house is burning down.
Exactly. So without the referee to provide context, this primitive emotional alarm treats every minor annoyance as a primary threat to your survival.
That is insane.
A misplaced pair of shoes isn't just a mess you need to clean up anymore. It is processed by your brain as a profound, intentional sign of disrespect.
Oh, wow.
A forgotten text message isn't a simple mistake. It becomes undeniable evidence that they fundamentally do not care about you.
So the hollowness targets the partner because the specific mechanism required to give them grace has been disabled in the dark.
Yes, your brain is literally treating your life partner, the person you chose to build a life with, like a predator hiding in the bushes. The emotional compass isn't just a little bit off true north.
It is completely hijacked.
Completely. And the evidence we found regarding facial recognition really hammers this home.
Yes, I wanted to bring this up. This part of the investigation was so chilling to me.
It's terrifying. In our investigation, we looked at tests where they took sleep-deprived subjects and showed them photographs of people with completely neutral facial expression.
Right, no smiles, no frowns, just blank neutral faces.
A well-rested brain looks at a neutral face and registers it as exactly that. Neutral, safe.
But the sleep-deprived brains.
The sleep-deprived brains categorize those exact same neutral faces as hostile, aggressive, and untrustworthy.
Oh my God.
Sleep deprivation literally alters the way your visual processing system translates human emotion.
So when you are hollowed out, a partner's completely normal, neutral expression across the breakfast table is suddenly translated by your brain as an active, menacing threat.
It's like your brain is applying a malicious, invisible filter over reality.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
You are looking at the person you love, but your mind is dubbing their voice and altering their face with malice.
They casually ask, "Hey, what are we doing for dinner tonight?"
And instead of hearing a simple logistical question about food, your hyperreactive smoke alarm hears a profound criticism of your ability to manage your adult life,
You hear, "Why haven't you figured this out yet, you absolute failure?"
which destroys the neutral territory of a relationship.
Completely. Because a healthy relationship requires a massive buffer of neutral interactions. But when the dark eliminates neutrality, everything is a conflict. Everything is a battle.
And we uncovered something even more devastating than that, didn't we?
We did. Exhausted people don't just misinterpret neutral cues as hostile. They actually lose the fundamental ability to feel what their partner feels.
You're talking about the unplugging of empathy.
Yes. Empathy isn't just some soft philosophical concept. It is a measurable cognitive function that requires vast amounts of processing power,
It takes energy to care.
a lot of energy. And we found that sleep deprivation actively impairs the brain's ability to read others. You lose the capability to recognize subtle micro-expressions of sadness or happiness in your partner's face.
That is just a gut punch.
The soft, vulnerable emotions literally become invisible to you.
So it's not that I'm choosing to be callous or cold.
No.
It's that the actual hardware required to see their pain is powered down. I literally cannot see that they are hurting.
You can't.
I cannot see that they are trying to connect with, a small, hesitant smile. I am just blind to their vulnerability.
But the cruelest trick of our biology is that while you become blind to sadness and happiness, your brain remains hypersensitive to anger.
Because from a primitive survival standpoint, anger is a physical threat. So the brain prioritizes it over everything else.
Exactly. So the empathy doesn't just fade slowly over 5 years of a struggling marriage.
It gets unplugged overnight.
You wake up unable to see their pain, unable to read their joy, but absolutely primed and scanning the room for their irritation.
It is no wonder it feels like the love is dying.
Not at all.
You are trapped in a biological reality where the only emotion you are capable of detecting from the person you love is a threat.
It's a waking nightmare.
If you're listening to this right now thinking, oh my God, that's me, the quiz is in the description. Whispers After Dark. It takes a few minutes. It shows you which of the 4 nighttime patterns is draining you. It's in the description.
Let's shift our focus to the dark itself for a minute.
Yeah, let's go there.
We know the empathy is unplugged. We know the rational referee is gone, and the alarm is screaming. But what is the actual mechanism causing this specific type of sleep loss?
What's running the program?
Exactly. What is running this program while you are staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., just listening to the house settle?
When we were decoding this, we identified a very specific cognitive pattern. It isn't just insomnia.
No, it's far more active than that.
It is a nightly rumination loop. And the word loop is key here because it implies a cyclical, relentless nature.
It doesn't just play once and fade away.
Right. It cycles endlessly, over and over.
The brain isn't just randomly awake. The part of the brain that's active when we are not focused on the outside world goes into absolute overdrive,
It gets aggressive.
highly aggressive.
Yeah.
It systematically edits every conversation from your day. It scans every single social interaction you had for hidden threats or missteps.
It catastrophizes minor details, like the way a coworker looked at you in the hallway.
You aren't just lying there thinking about your day. You are trapped in a midnight replay, forced to watch a distorted, hyper-negative, highly edited version of your own life.
I think it's so vital to separate the 2 major thieves of the night here: worry and rumination.
Yes, people use the terms interchangeably, but they operate very differently.
Exactly. Worry is forward-looking.
It's the brain trying to predict and prepare for tomorrow's disasters.
Right. It's asking, what if I bomb that presentation? What if the car breaks down and we can't pay the rent this month?
Worry is exhausting, sure, but it has a functional origin. is trying to keep you safe in the future.
But rumination, the way we decoded rumination, it's something much heavier.
Much darker.
Because rumination is entirely backward-looking.
It is an obsession with past failures, slights, and awkward moments.
It's the brain asking, why did my boss look at me like that yesterday? Why did I say that incredibly stupid thing at a party 5 entire years ago?
Why didn't my partner defend me when my mother made that passive-aggressive comment last Thanksgiving?
Exactly. Worry is trying to solve a puzzle. Rumination is a trap.
It is an endless, inescapable loop of regret and perceived rejection. It offers no solution, only suffering.
And there is a profound, crushing loneliness to this specific type of rumination loop.
The environment of the night amplifies it completely.
It really does. When the sun is up, you have external stimuli.
You have noise.
Yeah, you have emails pinging, traffic to navigate, a podcast to listen to. The noise of the day drowns out the internal loop.
But at 3 a.m.,
At 3 a.m., when all external distractions are stripped away, the silence makes the rumination deafening.
you feel entirely out of sync with the rest of the planet.
You are lying mere inches from the person you love. You can literally feel the heat radiating off their body. But the nature of this midnight replay makes you feel like you are the only person left on Earth.
It is a desperately isolating state to be in.
Because while your partner is sleeping, while they are deeply resting, replenishing their rational referee and charging their battery, you are burning your remaining fuel fighting ghosts.
You are fighting memories.
So when the sun finally comes up, the biological disparity between the two of you is massive.
Huge. They are waking up to a brand new, fresh day.
And you are waking up as a casualty of a psychological war they didn't even know you were fighting.
Which brings us right out of the bedroom and into the kitchen. The morning commute. The inevitable clash.
The fallout. We've traced the theft. We see the hollowed out shell, the hyperreactive alarm system, the unplugged empathy.
Now we have to look at what happens when that hollowness turns into an actual argument.
Because what we uncovered here is genuinely shocking about these morning after fights.
We culturally frame arguments as purely emotional events, right?
Yeah, you say words, I say words, feelings get hurt, and we go to our separate corners to pout.
But our investigation shows that a fight after a sleepless night of rumination is not just a communicative breakdown. It is an acute biological trauma.
Let's dig into that, because when we first decoded this, it sounded almost hyperbolic to me.
I know, but it's the reality.
So you're saying that when I snap at my partner over like how the coffee is made or whose turn it is to empty the dishwasher, my body isn't just reacting to the words being spoken?
Not at all. Your body is reacting as if it is under physical attack.
From a wild animal?
Yes. Your body's internal alarm system becomes incredibly dysregulated by the sleep deprivation.
It loses its calibration.
For every single hour of sleep stolen from you by that rumination loop, your body's internal threat level dials up.
So when you enter into a conflict while running on empty, your body doesn't just release a moderate, normal amount of stress.
No, it literally floods your system with survival chemicals. It ignites an internal fire.
So the ancient biological system that is supposed to protect me from a physical threat on the savannah is being fully activated by my partner asking a totally benign question about the grocery list.
Because your rational referee is offline and your smoke alarm is screaming, your biology assumes you are fighting for your actual life.
That explains so much.
Your heart races, your blood pressure spikes, your muscles physically tense up. You are actively damaging your own body and you are damaging your connection.
What should be a routine, mild disagreement about household chores turns into a desperate physical fight for survival.
And this perfectly explains why those fights feel so completely devastating.
You're standing there in your pajamas, right? You're arguing about the electric bill, but your nervous system is convinced it's a life or death battle.
The words spoken in those moments, they carry the weight of biological terror.
That's why they are so cruel. That's why they cut so uncharacteristically deep. You are striking out with the intensity of someone trying to survive an attack.
And because your empathy network is unplugged, you cannot perceive the damage your words are doing to your partner in real time.
You just can't see it.
You only see their defensive anger, which in turn justifies your own biological threat response.
It is a perfect, self-sustaining loop of destruction.
The relationship becomes the collateral damage of a hidden sleep disorder.
So we have uncovered this pattern, this invisible nightly theft that destroys empathy, rewires the brain to see malice, and turns morning conversations into biological warfare.
It's grim.
It is. And the terrifying truth we found is that millions of relationships are bleeding out from this exact wound right now.
Millions of couples are sitting in living rooms believing they have simply fallen out of love.
Believing they have suffered some massive, irreconcilable betrayal of the heart, when in reality, they are being dismantled by a pattern neither of them can even see.
But our investigation didn't just uncover the destruction.
No, it didn't. We also found a massive hidden trend, a covert solution that couples are resorting to.
Humans are remarkably adaptable. We are wired to survive.
And millions of couples are taking drastic, culturally taboo measures to survive this unseen pattern.
You're talking about the silent exodus.
Silent exodus, the sleep divorce, the migration down the hall.
We found that an astonishing number of people, upwards of 1 in 3 couples, and the real number is likely much higher because people lie about it out of shame, are choosing to sleep apart.
They are permanently moving to the spare bedroom, to the couch, to the guest house.
And society has a lot to say about this.
Oh, we all know the cultural whispers. When a couple admits they sleep in separate rooms, the immediate assumption by their friends and family is that the relationship is over.
Society treats separate bedrooms like a white flag of surrender.
It's viewed as the waiting room for a divorce. Traditional advice says that physical proximity is required for intimacy, and leaving the shared bed is a complete failure.
But we need to correct the record on this right now, using the actual data we uncovered.
Yes, let's set the record straight.
Sleep divorce is not a failure. It is the exact opposite. It is pure survival.
Break that down for us. What did we find when we looked at the actual outcomes for these couples who made the split?
We found that by separating at night, they are halting the biological theft.
They are stopping the leak.
Exactly. They are breaking the cycle of the midnight replay. By controlling their environment, by not being woken up by a partner's tossing and turning or a different sleep schedule, they are finally getting that restorative rest.
They are recharging the battery.
They are regaining their emotional bandwidth.
It's so counterintuitive to what we're taught. Traditional counselors argue that you lose spontaneous intimacy by sleeping apart.
But what we found shows that physical proximity at night, if it results in chronic sleep deprivation, actively destroys the psychological intimacy required to even want to be close to your partner during the day.
Right, if you're hollowed out, you don't want to be touched anyway.
Exactly. By retreating to separate corners at night, they are actually saving their days.
They aren't running from their partner.
No, they're running from the midnight theft.
They are recognizing that if they stay in that shared bed, the rumination loop and the exhaustion will hollow them out, and they will have absolutely nothing left to give in the morning.
By sleeping apart, they are ensuring that when the sun comes up, the rational referee is back online.
The empathy network is plugged back in.
The emotional compass is properly calibrated to read neutral cues as neutral rather than hostile.
They are separating in the dark so they can actually love each other in the light.
Yes, it is a strategic biological retreat to protect the relationship from the trauma of exhaustion.
It is reclaiming the ability to see your partner's sadness, to offer grace, to give them the benefit of the doubt.
It is refusing to let the dark dictate the terms of your love.
Okay, I need to take a breath and look at the entirety of what we've unpacked today.
It's a lot to take in.
The finite battery, the hijacking of the alarm system and the filter of malice, the literal unplugging of empathy, the biological fire of those morning arguments. It all points to one massive, paradigm-shifting realization for me.
What's the realization that stands out to you?
If I am reading all of this right, you're telling me we're not bad partners?
No.
We aren't fundamentally broken or unloving people?
You're not bad partners. You're drained ones.
Wow.
And the person sleeping next to you isn't losing you to someone else. They aren't losing you to a lack of compatibility.
What are they losing you to?
They're losing you to a version of yourself that runs on empty before the sun even comes up.
That shifts the entire landscape of how we view our struggles.
It really does.
It removes the intense shame that comes with a failing relationship. It's not that I don't love you anymore. It's that the very biological mechanism I used to love you has been stolen from me while I was trying to rest.
It is the fundamental difference between a broken heart and a broken battery.
You cannot fix a relationship problem with communication exercises if it's actually a biological deficit problem.
Exactly. Once you see the pattern, you stop blaming the person across the kitchen island and you start protecting the resource of sleep.
But, uncovering all of this opens a door to something even more disturbing.
It really does.
Because we've solved the mystery of why the relationship feels like it's dying. We know the lack of sleep is the killer. We know the rumination loop is the weapon.
Right.
But if sleep is the killer, then why can't you just sleep?
That is the real question.
Why does your brain start the rumination loop in the first place? Why does your body suddenly treat rest, the most natural, necessary, ancient function, like it's an active threat?
Why does this system turn on itself?
Exactly. And what we are finding as we dig deeper into the origins of this hypervigilance, the answer to why your body actively resists the dark.
It is far darker than anyone expects.
It really challenges everything we understand about safety and survival, but we'll have to leave that door closed for now.
We will.
We'll let you sit with what we've uncovered today. The quiz is in the description. Whispers after dark. Find out what's running between midnight and morning, because you can't fix a pattern you can't see.
This has been the Anxiety Enigma. The person next to you is not the problem. The night is.